You spent all this money to haul ass. Put a little bit into the safety side of things. What is going on, guys? So I want to come back here and give you guys another update on the car. I gave you guys a sneak preview of this system right here. This is my new Firesense System by SPA Technique. This is a 10-pound firefighting solution containing suppression system-y thingy. Comes with 10 pounds of FIreAde proprietary firefighting solution. We'll talk about that in just a second, as well as these SFI approved billet aluminum brackets to keep the fire suppression system from becoming a projectile in the event of a rollover or just a really violent crash. So I mentioned briefly 2020 and moving forward, I want to take a much harder, closer look at my own personal safety, race car safety in general. 2019, I saw a lot of bad things happen to some good people, and it kind of had me shook up a little bit, especially in regards to my own safety program. Now, I haven't ignored it completely on the car, but I've only done kind of the bare minimum what the rule book tells me. Now, knowing what I know, armed with some information, talking to some people, I really want to start taking a more serious approach to it because, well, my life is sweet, and I have a beautiful wife, 3 amazing, beautiful children, and I want to watch them all grow up with me. Although I don't plan on growing up, just getting older. So one of those changes is a fire system on the car, and this is the one that I elected to go with. This is the SPA Technique SFI 17.1 system. SPA Design is a company based in the United Kingdom or Great Britain, or apparently there's a difference between those two. I'll be honest with you, we had a war about it a while ago, and it was decided that it really doesn't matter to Americans. All kidding aside, I'm super stoked to have this system going on my car and in my possession. This is gonna make me feel a lot better about sending this thing down this track every single time. I hit up my buddy Eric Yost to find out what he would recommend. Eric Yost, if you don't know, is the owner-operator of this little shop in Western North Carolina called Customs by Biggin. Eric has a very long and illustrious career in various facets of motorsports, from circle track, NASCAR, drag racing, land speed racing, standing mile, half mile, you name it. And every single thing that he dips a toe into, he has some pretty damn good levels of success. He built some amazing cars, some badass stuff. So armed with all that knowledge of all these different sanctioning bodies and their safety requirements, he's able to pick the best from all of them and kind of come together and put together these very good packages. And this is pretty much kind of one of those. When you look at the SPA Technique / Design website, you're not going to see a drag racing specific system. This one actually, I believe, is for circle track. But what Eric has done is he has come up with, worked with them with the solutions to modify it a little bit for what the drag racer wants to see out of their stuff. And why would I go with this? Why is SPA Technique that much better than anybody else's out there? Well, the answer lies with this. That right there, FIreAde. The FIreAde solution is an AFFF solution, which stands for Aqueous Film Foaming Form. Aqueous, it's a mouthful.
Aqueous foam forming film.
There we go. What that does is when it discharges out of the nozzles and onto the fire, it creates a film across the entire fire. It isolates the fuel source of the fire from the oxygen, and it encapsulates it completely and does not break apart. Unlike a CO2 or a halon system, which basically just disperses the oxygen in the atmosphere and starves the fire of oxygen, once that CO2 or halon evacuates the premises and it can reintroduce oxygen into it, if you weren't successful in completely extinguishing the fire, well, chances are very likely that it's going to come back. Not only that, another downside is it disperses the oxygen from the driver's lungs. Not a good thing. The other systems that you may see out there are like the powder systems. They're just messy, they're really corrosive in some cases, and it just is terrible cleanup, and it's not exactly the most effective. It's a powder, gets everywhere, gets in your eyes, just nasty. So the AFFF stuff has a ton of benefits from FIreAde. It's 1, it's biodegradable, 2, it's water soluble, 3, it's a degreaser, so it'll actually break down the fuels and the oils and kind of dissolve them. So it's almost like a firefighting soap. It cools as it comes out as well, and it continues to fight the fire even after the system is completely evacuated and done spraying. That film that encapsulates everything will continue to put out the fire. Now, 10 pounds may not sound like a lot, but in this video I'm showing you guys right here, I ripped this off from the SPA Technique YouTube. You can see this guy had to send in his system, and what he's doing is he wanted to check the spray pattern on the nozzle before he sent it off for servicing. And you can see I'm still talking, and the system is still spraying. So we have our bottle, we have our juice. How are we going to distribute it? This right here is the brains of the whole operation, okay? The bottle with the firefighting stuff in it is the heart. This is who decides what gets what and when it is released. This is their A/M, or automatic/manual distribution block. The automatic is that little glass bulb inside of there. That glass bulb will rupture at 170 degrees Fahrenheit, releasing the agent. It is just like the sprinkler systems that you'll see in like industrial, commercial buildings, or even a lot of hotel rooms. It comes in here and then it gets distributed out this side and this side. Now, the manual portion of it is this. It's got a fire T handle that comes with the system. You mount this in line of sight of the driver, or some people like to put it up on the roll cage behind the driver's head by the parachute handle. And then you run the cable into right here. It has a safety pin underneath here. It's like a hand grenade pin. So you pull that pin out, and then the cable or the system is armed and ready for racing. The third method of activation is another manual one. You can attach this keychain right here, remove this pin, and then this little clip, and put that on here. There's two of them on here. So if you yank on that pin, it will discharge the system as well. Another method, the instructions tell you every way to activate the system. Now, mounting the block. This is going to go on the kick panel, or the knee bolster. This is underneath the car, directly above the knees, my knees, inside of the cabin of the car. And the reason I put it there is because that's as close as I can centrally locate it to the firewall as well as the transmission tunnel. The two most common sources for an automotive vehicle fire in like a racing application, especially drag racing. Transmission lines catch on fire, fuel lines, or the engine catches on fire. Those are the two most probable sources. Now, circle track side of things, they actually mandate that you put a couple of nozzles in the trunk of the car. Drag racing doesn't necessarily do that. They want you to cover the fuel cell. I'm not entirely sure why NHRA has a difference of opinion on that, but they do. They may change that in the rulebook in the future. The rulebook right now states that I don't even have to have a fire suppression system in the car. I'm just going above and beyond by having this on here anyway. So we're going to have two distributions, two paths, two nozzles. This comes with four. Two nozzles for the motor, two nozzles for the driver, a bulkhead fitting to send it through the firewall, and then the T's to distribute it to each of the two nozzles. And it comes with, I purchased 25 feet of aluminum hardline. The standard kit, I believe, comes with 10. And the reason you use the aluminum hardline, unlike braided line or stainless steel nylon line, there is no Teflon or rubber liner inside of here to burn out. It's a solid piece of metal, so it's not completely impervious to fire, but it's going to take a whole bunch of temperature to melt through your fire lines here. So we have four nozzles as well, two of which are just going to basically spray. It's very simple. Spray them at the motor, basically point them above the valve cover, kind of pointing down a little bit near the headers, wherever the hottest points are. Because chances are the headers are going to be what sparks a fire in most systems, most applications. Oil gets onto the exhaust, fuel gets on the exhaust, and that is where it's going to ignite from. Unless it's an electrical fire of some source, then, you know, who knows where, there's no, you wired your own car, you figured out, right? So the driver locations, though, for these nozzles, that is critical. You don't want to spray this stuff directly in your eyes. Not that it's going to really hurt you. It's probably not going to feel great, but also you're not going to be able to see where you're going. You don't want to like pull the handle and then sit in the car. Pull the handle and get out as quick as possible. So nozzle placement on the forward one is going to face directly towards the back on the driver and spray onto the torso and discharge
all over his chest.
And then the second nozzle, you want to point it kind of down towards your legs near the transmission tunnel, because the seat should kind of protect you from any fires coming from the back. But we're trying to have as much coverage on the driver as possible to give them the best chance. That's the object here. Best chance, and buy them time to get out of the car in the event of a fire. So, two on the driver, two under the hood, and that's pretty much it. As you can see, I got a little bit of work to do here. And how am I going to accomplish all this work? Well, here's the tools that you're going to need to install this system. First of all, tubing cutter. This is very standard, like the pizza cutter style. You can get them at Home Depot, Lowe's, any hardware store. Very simple. The next one is a line and tubing bender. This is a simple hand brake line bender. And the last one here, not really a necessity. This is a line straightener, a tubing straightener. This is a one size fits most. It ran me about 120, 130 bucks on Amazon, I believe. There's various sources you can get these from. And what this does is it turns these big curly cues into, you can see there's a very long straight piece. Here's a piece of -8 that I straightened out. from that. And I did all of this, did this in about 3 minutes. So you put tension on it and it runs between these 5 rollers, and literally it's kind of like rolling out dough or rolling out Play-Doh into making Play-Doh snakes. And it straightens out your tubing. Now you can try to roll this against the concrete floor, against a bench, or some people like to unroll it against their stomach and it just comes out looking all wavy. So for a nice, neat, clean installation, I picked that up. This is not the last time I'm gonna use this. If you've ever made hard fuel lines or brake lines, you know this little thing right here can be worth its weight in gold and pay for itself over time with pretty clean, pretty trick installation. So there you go. I got the system that I need, I got the tools to put it in, and I got some work to do. If you're interested in these systems, head over to spatechnique.com and hit these guys up, all right? If you need a fire suppression system, I highly, highly recommend them. But if you feel like that is out of your price range, talk to them. They might be able to work something with you. Maybe you don't need 10 pounds and 4 nozzles. You can get a 5-pounder and 2 nozzles. Whatever it is, I don't care. Just be safe. 2020, we're going faster and we're doing it safer. So that's it. I'm gonna get to work. I'm out. Peace.